But anyway, the title doesn't anyway takes time to go live, so it's not like a big deal.
Yeah, now it says it you are live.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and I can see you are live.
Now it's giving. See, it takes that much few seconds more before it'll give me that YouTube link. Which what you're saying is I could skip this step and you can put the
Yeah.
YouTube link later on in the
Correct.
group.
Yeah,
Okay.
I also have it. Let me put it if you don't want to.
No, I already did now,
You
but
did?
that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that part we can do, but I kind of try to just okay. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airiyanam, Namo Uvajayanam, Namo Loe Savasahu. Jai Jinendra. Good. So we are going to do Gandhar Mulyankan. We have finished all the course material, and today we will do Gandhar Mulyankan of hopefully 3 or 4 people. Nidhi is not coming today. And if anybody wants to, I don't remember if Purarji, what his situation is. If somebody wants to just quick give him a call if he wants to join. At least he can hear it live. And so who wants to go first? Bahubaliji, do you want to do that?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
Yeah, my topic for the Gandhar Mulyankan is I'm planning to do the two adhikar in Dravya Sangra, like Jiva Adhikar, like living substance, and the Jiva Adhikar, non-living substance. Let's see how much it will take. I created some points myself, I reference, because that flow will happen. Otherwise, I might be jumping around. Okay. In the Dravya Sangra, Nemichandra Siddhanti Dev offers respectful salutations to Bhagwan Rishabhadev in the Mangalacharan. And he mentions that it's Lord Rishabhadev is being worshipped by 100 supreme rulers, ranging from the heavenlies to the animal kingdom and to the Chakravartis and the moon, sun, those kind of things. And then in the commentary, it says that, okay, based on what Rishabhadev educated us, the Rishabhadev gave the knowledge of the universe consists of substances, and these substances are broadly categorized into living and non-living. And then Jivadika starts, and there Jivadika, it goes and talks about the nature of the living substance. Okay, so I'm not going to read the Gatha. I'm just going to go through the flow, actually. Okay. Nemichandra Siddhanti Dev in Gathas tells that living substance can well described clearly and precisely by mentioning the 9 distinctive characteristics. Okay. So when you talk about the living substance, correct? Before that, it also talks about the nayas, like in what context these explanations have been given. Okay. So Vyavar Naya and Nischay Naya. So Naya in simple definition is it refers to a partial or perspective-based viewpoint to understand only one aspect of a complex reality. Okay, so the full knowledge cannot be understood by ordinary
angle, right? You have a wheel.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you have a wheel, and which angle, because you cannot see the whole thing at the same, or rather speak about the whole thing at one time. So which angle you're going to looking at, talking about.
Okay, so normally in most
First Gatha, they also gave, we studied the definitions of Dravya and
yeah, like I think we are going to go in detail for each of these dravyas, but in the commentary, it says that, okay, so there are the dravyas can be broadly categorized into two types, Jiva Dravya and Ajiva Dravya. In Jiva, the souls comes, and in Ajiva Dravyas, the matter, Pudgala, the medium of motion is Dharma Dravya, medium of rest is Adharma Dravya, space is Akasha Dravya, and time is Kala Dravya. Okay. So with that, and then it tells about in broader sense, like, okay, what is living substance? Living substance or living being has a sentience or the consciousness, and it possesses perception, knowledge, bliss, energy, and the living substances or living beings included. Humans are humans, heavenly bodies, animals, and various microscopic and elemental life forms, as well as infernal uh, beings. In non-living substances, as you mentioned, like these lack the consciousness. Non-living substances lack the consciousness. They do not have upyoga or consciousness. And they are categorized into the matter, the Pudgala, Dharma Dravya, Adharma Dravya, Akasha, Kal. Okay. So this is the broad introduction in the commentary of the Mangalacharana. In the Mangalacharana, it's been mentioned. Okay, this being given by the Lord Rishabhadeva, and that's I bow down to Rishabhadeva for he's being a revered conqueror of all karmas and attained the liberation. We should follow, and then salutations to Lord Rishabhadeva. Okay. Then going by what is to understand the nature of living substance. So how do we explain a living substance? So Nemichand Siddhanta Dev mentions about 9 distinctive attributes of a living substance, like vitality. The vitality and consciousness, or the sentience, formlessness, and the type of extension is, that is the contraction, expansion, and then doership, enjoyership. Then it talks about the power to attain liberation, power to rise upwards, urdhva gamanatva. Okay. So then each gathas talks about what is vitality, and then also he gives what is the context, like in Vyavaranaya and Nishchayanaya. So Vyavaranaya is a conventional or practical viewpoint, refers to the everyday experience or understanding, whereas the Nishchayanaya is describes the true and absolute nature of the reality. Okay. So going one by one, like vitality is kind of like pranas, or when a soul, in the context of the Vyavaranaya to be explained, the soul is taking a form. Okay. So when it takes form, then it has to have some kind of vitalities, like pranas. Okay. There are 4 types of vitalities, like Indriya prana, Bala prana, Ayu prana, Swasachosha prana. Okay. So if you expand that Indriya prana, like 5 Indriya pranas, like Sparsha, Rasa, Gandha, Varna, and that sense, 5 senses, there are 5, and then 3 Bala pranas, like Manobala, Vachana Bala, and Kaya Bala. So the 8, and then Ayu prana and Swasachosha prana. So, and then in the commentary, it's been explained that, okay, if you go to identify what, based on the senses of the living being, like the 1-sensed living being, 2-sensed, Dvindriya, 3-indriya, Chaturindriya, Panchendriya. So how what kind of vitalities exist? Okay. So like 1 sense, it will be having the sense-wise, it will having a touch, and it has a body, and it has ayu, and it has swaswachas, respiration. So it has a 4 vitalities. So as the senses increases in the living substance, like living being, like 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, 5 sense, those vitalities will increase. Okay. In the 5 sense living being, like there are two types. One is with the mind and without mind, Sangi, Asangi. So the five sense with Sangi faculty will have all 10 pranas. So then it talks about the consciousness or upayoga. There are two types of upayoga. Okay, so before
just
that,
my laptop, or is there like a in between or some noise coming? It must be my connection. Never mind, continue on.
okay.
If nobody else is getting any disturbance, that's fine.
Okay, so it talks about also, I mean, in each gathas also it tried, I think it mentions about, okay, in the Vyavaranaya, in the practical or relative standpoint or viewpoint, a living being has a form with these vitalities. But in Nishchayanaya, it has pure Chetana. That means it has a perception and knowledge along with other attributes. Okay. So the next attribute it talks is about the sentience or the upayoga or the consciousness. So the consciousness or upayoga is nothing but its activity of the soul in the consciousness, or the functions of jnana and darshana, perception and knowledge is called upayoga. So there are two types of upayoga. There is darshana upayoga, jnana upayoga. And darshana upayoga, there are four types: chakshu darshana, achakshu darshana, avadhi darshana, kevala darshana. And in the jnana upayoga, there can be based on the basis of the right knowledge and wrong knowledge, right and wrong, there can be 8 types of jnanopayoga. There can be the ku mati, ku shruti, ku avadi, and then mati, shruti, avadi, manapare, and kevaladnya. Okay. So the commentary, they given more information like, okay, how do you get the wrong knowledge? What leads to the wrong knowledge is about the ignorance, about mithyata, about perverted, means contradict to the whatever the nature. So
I guess it
also,
means mixed with the wrong.
yeah,
See, when they say perverted, it means that, so suppose we say, we read something here and
yeah,
we say, oh, some other philosophy says the same thing. But it's only in that little, so then your knowledge gets perverted.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got to believe that philosophy as same as this one, which is not the case.
yeah, yeah.
So that mixture, that sort of
Okay.
intelligence.
So the mati jnana is sensory jnana. Scripture is what we acquired from the mati jnana is what the sruta jnana. So I think it's the commentary is really good. I mean, time permits, everybody should read it. So it talks about the sensory knowledge is being developed in 4 stages. It talks about like if you see anything, so you will be like it's avagraha. It says avagraha is more of a like a general awareness. You see something is flying. You don't know whether it is a flag or a bird or something like that. So it is kind of like general perception. And then you become curious that avagraha, iha. Iha is curious. And you see, oh, you find that, oh, this is what this is. It is called determination. You kind of know exactly what it is, and then you acquire it. So they call it as a general perception, curiosity, determination, and then dharana, the absorb or retain it. So the avagraha, iya, avoid dharana. Okay. So it talks about, and then there also the knowledge can be divided into 2 types, like pratyaksha and paroksha. Okay, paroksha is what we get from what we acquire from the sensory, and sruta jnana is called paroksha. And pratyaksha is what the soul actually, it is come from soul itself. And avadhi and manapare, they call limited direct knowledge. But otherwise, kevala darshana, kevala jnana is what the pratyaksha. So in conventional point of view, there are 8 type of knowledges. Okay, there is a 3 ku jnanas, and 5 are like sudhnanas, are the correct knowledge. Okay. But in the absolute point of view, there is a pure perception and knowledge. That's it. Okay. So it's kind of like, yeah, we need to know like every time. So what they say is like Vyavahara, yes, Vyavahara Naya, that is it, what we day to day or relative point of view, what we understand. It helps us to gradually understand by knowing different aspects, but still it is incomplete. But for real spiritual liberation or spiritual realization, one has to have the absolute point of view. That is, we need to take help of the Vyavahar as much as possible, but we need to go beyond. We need to transcend the Vyavaharnaya and then start realizing these aspects slowly to get the deeper and the absolute truth about the reality. Okay, so in each gathas, it will be go like that. By Vyavahara, it is like that because soul is in the karmic bondage. It has a uh, relative existence with the matter, with other things. So it appears to be like this, but in reality, it's not. That we need to keep that mind. That's what it's kept on saying. Like for Vyavaharnaya, it is like this. For Nischayana, it is like this. Yeah. So the next attribute is about the formlessness. So we know that with the Vyavahara point of view, it has a form. That means it has a shape, it has a color, it has a taste, it has some kind of sparsha, rasa, gandha, varna. Those senses will be there in a form where the body, the soul resides. But in Nischay point of view, it is beyond those. There is no form. It has innumerable special points, but other than that, it does not have any the color, taste, fatness, the leanness, height, weight, all those things will not be there. As for the other attribute, that's a doership. So in the Vyavahara Naya, that relative point or practical standpoint, yeah, the soul is being believed that it has associated with the body because of, and it developed like the moha raga dvesha, the delusion, attachment, aversion. So it thinks that it does acquire karma, it does burn the karma. So it is a doership with the external things happens. But in the absolute point of view, it is only doer of its own innate nature. So it does not do anything. So the next one is enjoyer. So the same with the practical viewpoint or conventional viewpoint, since it is being associated, it thinks that, okay, it is going to go through the happiness, sadness, good, bad, because of the rise of the fruition of the karmas it bound. In the absolute point of view, it is the enjoyer of its own bliss, its own ananta jnana, ananta ananta virya, those kind of things. It is always doer of itself. It does not associate with anything. Okay. So the another attribute is the aguru lagutva. This is one of the common attributes of all the materials. That is also same with soul. Like we have the astitva, vastutva, dhruvatva, aguru lagutva, prameyatva, pradeshatva, like that. So one of the attribute is aguru lagutva, because when a soul when it is with its mithyatva, when it start associating with the matter or it start taking the form. So it has, even though it has a fixed number of units, the special space points it can occupy, but because of the contraction and expansion, it can take any smallest of small body and biggest of big body, like it can expand. So this is one of the attributes. In the Vyavaharnaya, it does that, but in absolute viewpoint, it does not change its special points. It's always having that innumerable space points. And then talks about the next gatha talks about the worldly existence. So worldly existence is like a jiva in its association or in its impure form or in general, we can say that there can be two categories, like worldly living beings and liberated beings. Okay, the liberated beings are the siddhas. Those are like uh, uh, released, or those attain the liberation and free from all eight karmas, gati karmas, agati karmas. So it is at the siddha abode. Those souls are liberated souls. The worldly souls are of two types, the sthavar and thras. The sthavar is immobile living beings, and thras is mobile living beings. The sthavar are like one-sensed living beings. There are like earth body, like Prithvi Kayak, Jal, the water bodies, Jal Kayak, fire body, Agni Kayak, and then Vayu body, that is air body, Vayu Kayak, and Vanaspati Kayak, that is plant bodies. Okay. There are variety of the differentiation, the types comes like even Vanaspati, there is a Pratyek and Sadharan. So that means in plant there is one soul exists, lives in one plant body, or in sadharana there is multiple souls exist in one plant body. Okay, and in sthavar we have like 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, and 5 sense, with mind and without mind exist. And there also like in 5 sense only there is the mind that exists, with mind, without mind. Okay. And then it talks about in the next gatha talks about there is a paryapti and aparyapti. Okay, so the paryapti is it's kind of like paryapti refers to the completion of the processes where a soul develops and retains a body, gets a body. For example, even for the one-sensed living being, it has to live in a body, correct? So there is this paryapti process where it acquires the ability to collect the suitable materials, like they call ahara stage, called ahara stage, where it collects the suitable materials and then it develops
Just to make the body. Okay.
It develops the body, whatever the body, and then slowly the sense organs will be formed, and then there will be swasochus, the respiratory system will be developed, and then there is a speech, and then mind. Correct? These are 4 stages. Okay. So the paryapti, aparyapti is it's a different meaning for. I mean, it means what is the count? What you call paryapti for the single sense? What you call aparyapti for the single sense? So it is different for a different sense living being. Okay, for one sense, what it has is it has a body, it has a touch. Okay, so it has certainly the ahara. That means that's first stage, and then it has a body, and it has a respiratory system, okay, and touch. So there will be, if it has a 4 of these stages, it hit one sense organ, then it is paryapti. If one of them is missing, then it is aparyapti. So like that, for example, if you take a 5-sensed living being like us, a 5-sense being, okay, humans are when I talk here, I'm paryapti. Certainly I have completed all all the maturation they call. So I have the collection of the matter is always, particles is happening. So my body is always, it's like a thin fat or lean, or it's been happening there. And then I have 5 senses for sure. Sparsha, Rasa, Gandha, Varna, Karana. Okay. And then I have respiration, and then I'm talking, and then I have mind. So I'm certainly paryapti. So they say that even in some of the 5 sense, and I don't know the exact example, there's aparyapti. They say like in heavenly bodies, there's some 5 sense living being born with, and then dies immediately without paryapti. They say like in the armpit or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so it's what it is. It's like remember we talked about that there is a Manushya ke jeev
yeah,
in human excreta and all those. So
yeah, yeah.
uh,
I
that's
don't know the
their
exact example,
form,
but
human form, but they don't have all the paryaptis or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Okay. So the next Gatha talks about talks about the Marganasthan and a little bit about the Gunasthan. I mean, it's a like there are Marganasthan is more of a like the pathways of investigation are in the different context where all geo exist. It's
Mhm.
kind of Anveshana. It's like a Marganasthan. There are 14 ways we can find out where all jivas exist in the different contexts. So for example, if you take a gati, okay, so gati is like manava gati, naraka gati, deva gati, tirancha gati. So like all there is, you can see that living being, the living substance exists. That's where it exists. And they go for the senses. If you go by the Indriya, like one sense, two sense, three sense, four sense, like a Nigoda Jiva, they exist everywhere. So this is like the worldly existence. How do you group them on based on what? Like Gati is one, sense is other one. I'll just going to go and read them. The mobility, like Kaya, like there is a Sthavar and there is a Thrust. Okay, that's one way to look at it. And then yoga, like whether they have Mano yoga means mind, Vachana yoga, Kaya yoga. So everybody has Kaya, and speech is not necessarily exist, mind is not necessarily exist. Those kind of things. So then Kashaya, like if you look at the monks and at what Gunasthana, there is Kashaya, level of Kashaya. So you can also find the Jiva in that context also. Okay. And the Sayama, like based on the Sayama also, the spiritual discipline, you can look at the 10th Gunasthana and all what the Sayama is so intense and all the things. Okay. And Lesha, there is a Krishna, Neela, Kapoth, and then what is the there are 6 Leshas.
Shukla and Krishna.
Yeah, Krishna, Neela, Kapoth, Shukla. What is the white for? And yeah, like there are based on the Leshas also. Lesha is the it's color code of the passions actually. I mean, we used to have like terrorism. We used to when terrorism was very high, we used to color code correct, like what is danger, what is not like that. So the passions are like terrorism. So we can actually color code them to show that okay, what lesha, how danger it is within us ourselves. Okay, so life exists in that context also. And Samyaktu also, like what kind of faith, like it's you can use the reference to the Gunasthana reference there. And rational beings and non-rational beings are like same thing, with they have the mind and without mind, physical mind, paryapti, aparyapti as per the and then ahara, what we talk about paryapti, like you have to have the ahara stage where it will accumulate for the to acquire body, senses, speech, and then mind. Those. So these are called marganasthana. It will tells us like in the different context you can investigate, you can find out, you can anveshana, you can find out where all the life exists. And in the spiritual path of progression, we studied about gunasthanas. Like there are 14 gunasthanas based on the variation of the variation of state, the purity of the Shraddha and Charitra Guna in the context of the Moha and Yoga. So you can see that what is the Mityatva, what Gunasthana you are. Are you completely attached with the external things? There is no concept of Atma and all, then you are at the Mityatva. And then there is a Sasvadana Gunasthan, and then Samyak Mityatva. There is Avirat, Desha Virat, Pramatta Virat, Apramatta Virat, Apurukarna, Anivritti Karna, Sukshma Sampraya, Upshantmo, Kshinmo, Sayokyavali, Ayokyavali. So these kind of things. So it's a like, yeah, so, but these are all in the the Vyavarana. In the absolute point of view, the Jiva does not have any of these. Correct? There is no passion, there is no lesha, there is it's always has this pure perception, pure knowledge, pure bliss in the when you in the absolute sense. Okay, it talks about the liberated soul. The liberated soul is where it is free from Gati karma, Agati karma, and once a soul become Aranta, and once it is done with the Nama karma, the Ayu karma, then it will, by freeing all the karmas with Urdu Gamana, it goes to at the end of the universe, Lokakasha, and sits at the Siddha Shila, that liberated soul. So it talks also in the commentary, talks about when particular karma is destroyed, what it acquires. Okay. So Siddha soul has 8 attributes, it says. Okay. So when Jnanavarni karma is free from Jnanavarni karma, then it will have Ananta Jnana. When free from the Darshanavarni karma, it will be Ananta Darshana, that Ananta perception. So in liberated soul, the Darshana and Jnana happens simultaneously. There is no one after the other. It's only in the worldly living beings. So Antaraya karma, it gets Ananta Virya. And Mohaniya karma, it will get perfect right faith. Like it will be so stabilized, there is no chance of any hindrance there. And when it comes to the Agatiya karma, there is a Vedaniya karma. End of the Vedaniya karma, it will be like Avya Bhadatva, means eternal bliss. I mean, it will be having eternal bliss. So the possible Vedaniya, Sata Vedaniya, that is no question. So Avya Bhadatva, the unstopped, the eternal bliss will happen. And then with the Ayu karma ending, it will be having it will be like avaganatva. It can be like become sukshma with the gotra karma, and what is that? Gotra with agurlagatva. There is no longer like contraction, expansion. And antaraya, we say like ananta, it's infinite energy. Nama karma, it becomes sukshma. Ayu karma, when it is done, then wherever liberated soul exists in the same space, the other liberated souls exist. So it has that avaganatva capacity. Okay. So these are the attributes liberated soul will have. So that concludes that is about the jiva, living substance, or jivadhikara. So if I can continue the other one also. Or
the Ajivadhikar, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you did a good job in very much detail, but because you've done it in so much detail, do you want to take a break? I don't want you to be tired, and we can take somebody else, and then
we can do that. I mean, yeah, if time permits, then I can come back here.
Yeah. So I will ask you one thing, which I was trying to indicate in the beginning. I have to ask you 3 questions. So let me ask you now one. In the beginning, we talked about what is the definition of dravya? What exactly comprises of a dravya?
Dravya comprises of like gunas. It's collection of guna.
Collection, right? And
it has a utpada, vaya, and dhruvatva.
Point of the dravya, okay? So guna is not like, okay, I have it here and I don't have it here. It's going to be.
It is guna it is exist in the like every part of the dravya.
Exactly. Okay. And then and what is dravya? I mean, sorry, guna.
Guna is an integral part of the dravya. It is
something that is spread in every part of the dravya.
Every part of dravya.
Exactly. And what is the purpose of knowing in so much detail about the jiva?
I mean, it's knowing in it, because not knowing, we could imagine so many things, and and we might end up imagining and think that that is correct. It is, and then we start pursuing that way. Definitely, it's not. It's like it can be. Knowing so many things, it takes out the mityat, or you can say it takes out the ignorance and false knowledge and perverted knowledge. So definitely, we come in the right direction and then start thinking, work on
And
towards.
then not only that, first we know exactly what it is, and then we have the firm conviction that this is not me.
Yeah.
So even if I had one indriya, whether I had five indriya, didn't matter. I remained the same.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of learning this.
Yes.
That I can be found. Remember the 14 Jeev Samas that we looked at,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We can be. It doesn't matter. I could be anywhere.
Yeah.
I, the Jeev, doesn't change.
Yeah.
So that gives that ekatva in the true Jeev. So this is who I am. See, if you know all the grunts, all the knowledge, you don't know who you are. It's
Yeah.
all point.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So all this study, all this everything is to have that firm conviction, the true belief in who I am. And if I know that this is me and nobody can destroy me, nobody can,
Mhm.
then it's like, let's say I'm going through some overwhelming situations. Okay. So, but if I keep reminding me, this is all Pudgal created, and I have nothing to do with Pudgal. It gives
Yeah.
you some peace.
Yeah.
Now, how much peace it will give you, or all that will depend on how much study, how much belief, how much
Practice.
conviction you can really make yourself feel as Jeev.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose is of this study is to be nirakul, to be not stressed, to be must happy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But this knowledge is supposed to take you towards that. When you reach the ultimate is, of course, the goal we know.
Yeah.
Till then also, this is the philosophy of staying stress-free all through, even when you're studying.
Mm.
So, okay, so I'll do my third question after you do the Ajiv. And let's see who wants to go.
I can go next.
Okay.
Probably before I go next, I just want to quickly share, right?
Mhm.
See how good it creates the thumbnails. Okay, can you see my screen when it appears?
Absolutely wonderful. Oh my God. Look at all of
It puts everything. Look at the accuracy of this. I was
amazing.
astonished. See this.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I created the cover for each of them, right? Not
Mhm.
Samaisar, but I do Samaisar. I mean, I asked a lot of questions on Samaisar, so it automatically just added the same four books.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Very
So its correlation is so beautiful, right? That it knows right what it is. The first glance itself. Now I'm going to say that the eyes are closed, right, for our Tirthankar. So can he make that? So he will
nice.
do that.
So then, yeah, so basically the student is seeing himself in this. That's what I would like to read it as.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's ultimately, that is what your goal is. Ekatvapana in me, the Jeev.
Correct.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. So my topic for Gandhar Mulyankan, right, is the chapter 2, right, which is nature of the mundane existence of the Granth Moksha Marg Prakashak, right, written by Acharya Kalp Pandit Todarmal ji. So the chapter 1, right, just to set the base for the chapter 2, the chapter 1 prologue, right, basically starts with Mangala Charan, right, which is the benediction. Right, it explains right that why right a Mangala Charan is done and why the obeisance right is done, right, and while explaining that it basically gives the characteristics right of the Panch Parmeshtis.
Mhm.
It also explains the purpose of adoration and why the Panch Parmeshtis should be adored,
Mhm.
right? And it also says how our purpose is accomplished, right, through the invocation or the adoration of Arihantas.
Mhm.
It also gives the purpose of observing Mangalacharan, right? And it also goes one level down and explains, right, the authenticity of the book and the entire scriptural tradition, right?
Mhm.
And it also explains, right, that why there could be why there could be no false words writing, right, in this book as well. Right, then it explains, right, what do you term as shastras, or which are the shastras which are worth reading and listenings, along with the traits of both the discourser, the one who is presenting the discourse, as well
Mhm.
as the listener who is listening, right, those discourse. Right, so this is how, right, it basically does a prologue, right, of the Mokshmar Prakash Shastra, right, explaining every elements. And the chapter 2, right, basically now tells more about, right, the sansar, right.
Mhm.
So overall this chapter is more focused, right, on the jeev, right, and karma, right. So everything, how these are two different dravya, right, how nimit naimitic sambandh happens, how the bondage happens, right? And then it talks about the various karms, then then it talks about, right, the types of bondage, the space of the bondage, the duration and the fruition. Right, it then explains, right, how insentient matter particles or an atom, right, gets into karm, right.
Mhm.
It explains, right, how the state of existence is, right,
Mhm.
of the bonded karmas, how new karmas are bonded, how karma's bondage is eternal, right, and then explains, right, what happens when the karma ripens. Right, so that's all about the karma bondage, right?
Mhm.
And then it says the characteristics of dravya and bhav karmas,
Mhm.
explains the no karmas as well, right? And then explains the various state of chi, right, caused due to the disease of karmic bondage. Right? So then
Mhm.
it explains how every karma, right, or different types of karma affects the jeev, right, and what happens in the jeev, what is the entire cycle,
Mhm.
right, of modification that happens in the jeev because of different kinds of karma, right. So this
Mhm.
is what is, in short, right, a nutshell of what the entire chapter 2 is, right.
Mhm.
Let me start with with the first one that it mentions, right. So the first one, it starts, right, is the title of the book itself, right? Moksha Marg Prakashak, which is the path of liberation, right?
Mhm.
Can is liberation means to to release, right? So what are we releasing from? So we are releasing from the karma bondage, right?
Mhm.
So eternally we have tried to do that, right. We know the conditions of a jeev, right, because of the bondage, but we never had right means, right. So the root cause always has been the karmic bondage, right, and that is where, right, our purusharth should be. So he's explained the karmic bondage, right, with an analogy of a doctor and a patient. Right. So when a patient visits a doctor, the step one, right, is the diagnosis of the disease by the doctor, right? And the step two is what are the different conditions or the symptoms, right, from the disease, right? And step three would be the patient matches the symptoms, he accepts the diagnosis, then the doctor shares the cure for this disease. And that
Mhm.
is the doctor's duty. If patient adopts the approach suggested by the doctor, then
Mhm.
he is free from disease and then he is back in the natural state. That is patient's purusharth. The same analogy here, right, can be applied to the karmic bondage. Here, the path of liberation, the Mokshmar Prakashak, is the doctor. The reason of the karmic bondage, right, is what is presented. The different conditions due to bondage is also mentioned by this Granth. So Jeev confirms and understands, right, the cure approach to break free from bondage. If he adopts that, right, and even the Granth has put forth the efficacy of this method, explain rationally how this method works. Right, and if Jeev makes efforts towards it, then it can reach its natural state, which is the omniscient phase, or the Keval Gyan, right, or Siddh, right. So let's start with the first step, right, which is the diagnosis of karmic bondage, right. So due to karmic bondage, right, we see that the soul, right, remains in various transmigration state, and it has various alien disposition, which we call as vibhav. That state is sansar, right, which is the mundane existence. So firstly, the definition of mundane existence, sansar, has been put, right, and we know that infinite time, infinite jeev dravyas, right, have karmic bondage from eternity, that is anadikal. Right, at no time in the past, right, we had jeev which was separate and karmas were separate, and then they got intermingled. Right, so it gave an example of a Meru mountain where atoms combine and separates from eternity. Same way, karma, which is the matter particle atoms and soul substance, are embodied from eternity. Right, and then the separation or the combination can happen, and it continues to happen. Right. So the it goes as a question answer form, but for the purpose of this Gandhar Mulyankan, right, I would like to straight go to the point. Right. So first it establishes the eternity of the karmic bondage. It says that the karmas are eternal. And how does it prove that? Right. It basically says that nimit can be attributed only on new modification. However, there is no nimit at the beginningless stage. And as we know, at the beginningless stage, right, there is no nimit which is possible. So in short, if we believe in nimit in the beginningless stage, then we don't acknowledge the beginningless stage. If we want to acknowledge the beginningless stage, then there could be no nimit in the beginningless stage, because nothing gets modified in the beginningless stage. All the modification happens after the beginningless state. So fresh particle atoms then turns as karmic particles only due to nimit of attachment or rag. So if in the beginningless state nimit is accepted, then that's not beginningless, right? And hence bondage is accepted from anadikal. The karmic bondage and the soul, right, are bonded, right, for from eternity. Right. So the next question would be, is the attachment then the swabhav of jeev? Because we said that the nimit of attachment, rag, right, is the reason the fresh atom particles turns as karmic particles. Right. Also, right, so is attachment a swabhav of jeev? Attachment, rag, nimit, is a karmic matter, right, and vice versa. Is it the interdependence fault or a cycle where there is no stoppage? So what it is trying to say is, right, is attachment drag nimit of karmic matter, and karmic matter is nimit of attachment drag? So is it a circle? Is it an interdependence fault, right, or a cycle where there is no stoppage? So it explains that, right, since karmic bondage from Anadi Kal is an axiomatic as we know, right, from the geometry days, it means that it has now been accepted that this karmic bondage from Anadi is axiomatic. Hence, karmic matter is nimit for Rag. Hence, we have broken the interdependence fault, right? Because karmic bondage is already present. The karmic bondage leads to Rag. It becomes a nimit, right, for rag, and then the rag, right, then becomes a nimitt for the karmic matter, and the cycle and the bondage continues.
Mhm.
Right. So another way is that if karmic matter is not nimitt for rag, then rag will become nature or lakshan of jeev. Since the nature swabhav of substance is one which has no associating cause. Right. So what do we call the swabhav of the substance is the one which has no associating cause.
Mhm.
Right. We don't need an instrumental because that is itself, right, the upadan.
Mhm.
Right, and hence, right, we can prove that the rag, right, is not the swabhav of jeev. Then another question could arise is the two substances are distinctly separate. How can relationship between possible from eternity? Right, so if these two substances are separate, when we say two substances is jeev and rag, then how can there be a relationship between them from eternity? Right. Then it gives an example that we've already seen that bondage of water and milk, the golden stone, that is from eternity. Right. And hence their substance can be separate, right, or can be together, right, and hence no contradiction. Right. So from anadi substance can be separate or it can be together.
Mhm.
Right. So in this case, from anadi kal, it is together. Right. Then another question can pop up, right, saying that asserting that bondage is possible only when two substances are separate and then intermingled. So how is Jeev and Karm, two substances intermingled from Anadi since they never separate? Right. So again, the answer is the same that I have provided, right? That we have seen that example of gold and stone, right? And
Mhm.
hence Jeev and Karm, right, can be intermingled from Anadi. Right, and they keep on separating, they keep on coming together, but they can be eternal. So all these, right, basically establishes the eternity of karmic bondage. Right, now let's talk about the distinctiveness of karma and jeev. Right, we understood that they are connected since eternity, right, but they always remain completely separate substance. They can remain completely separate substance as well. Right, so we know that Jeev, right, is Chaitanya, right, and it is formless, right, and it does not have the properties, right, of Pudgal, while karma is unconscious, it's a material Pudgal matter.
Mhm.
Right, so this is how we establish the distinctiveness of Jeev and Karms.
Mhm.
Then it goes about, right, talking, right, on, just give me a minute. Yeah, it talks about the various ghati karma and aghati karmas. We've already gone this in detail, so I will just mention the name of it, all right, and move forward. All right, so ghati karmas, right, are essentially why do we call ghati? Is because it obstructs the intrinsic nature of the soul, right? It obscures it, right? So again, it's an instrumental cause, right? So karm does its own modification, and the jiv does its own modification. No one is a doer of other person's modification or other substances modification, right? So it's always an instrumental cause. So due to the instrumental cause of Jnan Varnya Karma, which is our first karma, knowledge obscuring, right? The second one is Darshan Varnya Karma, the knowledge and perception, which is the essential nature of the soul or lakshan of the soul, right, does not get manifested, right?
Mhm.
So that's why they're called as Ghati Karma, right? And only right during the Shayopsham stage, right, of these karms, the knowledge and the perception remains partially manifested. Right.
Mhm.
So this is all about the first two karms. The
Mhm.
next one, which is the most significant one, right, is the Mohniya Karm, right? So the Mohniya Karm is the reason, right, the instrumental cause, right, being the Mohniya Karm, the Jeev produces dispositions, which are not the true nature of the jeev. In short, it is not the swabhav of the jeev. It modifies, right, into a vibhav, right, which is the anger, pride, deceit, and greed. Right, those are passions that gets manifested. The fourth Gatya karma would be the Antaraya karma. Right. Again, this is the instrumental cause, right, of Antaraya karma. And due to this instrumental cause, what kind of modifications happen, right, in the soul? The nature of the soul, which is the virya, that is a spiritual power, right, of the order of accepting asceticism, right? So that is the spiritual progress towards siddh does not get manifested. Right, and only partially it gets manifested when the shayopsham state of the karmas happen. Right, so all these four, right, ghati karmas do not are not the doers, right, of obstructing the nature of the soul. They are the instrumental cause, right, for those I would say perverted or alien dispositions of the soul. Okay, so another question can arise. We are talking about destruction or the annihilation, right? So that which existed earlier could be stated to have been annihilated when there is no existence of intrinsic nature, because we just mentioned anadi kal, right? The soul has never been pure. The soul was always attached with karma, right? So when there is no existence of the complete pure intrinsic nature, then what is being really destroyed? Right? So we can say it is destroyed only when it is completely made first. Then we can say destroyed. Right? So why are we even saying that it is destroyed? Right. So it says, as Bahubalaji also mentioned, right, as per the real point of view, right, the soul eternally possesses an intrinsic power, right, of full manifestation of its omniscience of knowledge, perception, virya, right, and the spiritual power, right. So that's always existing, right. However, due to the karms, right, that manifestation is not fully achieved, and hence from that inherent capacity point of view, right, the intrinsic nature does exist, right, and hence from that standpoint we are saying that the karms is said to have been destroyed, right. So the partial manifestation is another words called as being destroyed. Then we talk about the four kinds of aghati karma. The first one being the Vedaniya karma, that is a feeling producing karma. Right, that again is an instrumental cause of happiness and misery due to the rise of aghati karma. Right, we perceive, right, that we are happy or we are there is a misery, right, that we associated, right, in the body or outside the body. Right. Next is the Ayu curve, right, that decides the bondage of the present body, right, with Jeev Dravya, and it does not get released till the expiry of its duration. The third Agati Karm would be the Nam Karm. Again, why these are Agati Karm is it does not block the Swabhav of soul, right, but it still does not is still called as a karm because it is prohibiting, right, the jeev, right, to completely manifest its intrinsic nature, right. So the nam karm, which is the physic making karm, right, decides the gati, right, the state of the embodied form of the existence. The jati karm gives the class of the beings, the body, etc., are produced, and due to Gotra Karm, the status determining Karm, right, whether one attains a higher or a lower status is determined. Right. So again, right, the Agati karmas are basically the external things that gets assembled. Right. In the presence of Agati karma and also due to the rise of Mohniya karma, Jeev becomes happy and miserable, right? And due to the bondage of the body, the immaterial intrinsic characteristic of the soul does not function as per their nature, right? So it says that yeah, as long as the rise of the karmas continue, the association of external things remains as it is. It does not become otherwise. Such is the instrumentality of these agati karmas. After describing these, right, it describes, right, the process of new bondage. Right. It also explains, right, the destruction of Jeev's natural functioning and assembling of external things by strengthless material karma. So, in short, what it's trying to say is, right, is the material karma responsible for destruction of Jeev's natural functioning? Right. So, karmas are inanimate. Right. So, how is it possible that they are destroying the Jeev's swabhav? Right. And so if karma is a doer, then we know that a substance cannot be a doer of another substance. Right. In that sense, karma should possess sentience and strength, right? So it should be chaitanya, then only it is possible. Right. And hence we can conclude that it is again a nimitic sambandh, right, that is the natural occurrence. Right. And I mean, if you look at the operative stage of karma arises, then at that time, the soul does not function in its natural state. Right? So the nimitt of the fruition of the karmas, right, does not allow the soul, right, to function in its natural state. Then it talks about, right, the process of new bondage as to how the new bondage is created. So to explain that, it uses the example of the sun and the cloud, right? The sun is completely manifested and it has all the light, right? But due to the clouds blocking the path of the portion of the light, that part is unmanifested or absent, right? The same thing, right, is happening, right, between the jeev, right, and the cloud acting as the karma, right? So gnan, darshan, and virya, right, which is the nature of the soul, the portion of it due to the instrumentality of the three karmas, right, is not fully manifested, right? So the one what is absent is the unmanifested one, and according and owing to the shayopsams state of the karmas, right, the part of gnan, darshan, and virya which is manifesting, all that is the part of the soul's nature. So whatever has been manifested, that's a soul nature, right? And it is not a contrary alien disposition produced by karms. So here what it is trying to say is, right, what is manifested, right, is not the alien disposition. So whatever partial gyan, darshan, and virya is there, that is not produced by karmas. Right. So right from eternity, we have seen that the manifested portions of the soul's intrinsic nature never comes to an end. Right. So there is still some part of soul's intrinsic nature which from eternity is there. Right, and only, right, the consciousness of the soul, right, is certain that the substance possessing the power of knowing and seeing is the soul only. So this is the soul turning inwards, right, and understanding, right, from that partial manifestation, right, and due to the shayopsam state of karmas, right, that the substance possessing the power of knowing and seeing is the soul itself. Right. And the bondage of new karmas does not take place, right, due to the nature of the soul. The bondage of karma takes place, right, due to the instrumental nature of the karmas, right, and right, the soul's alien disposition.
Mm-hmm.
Then, then we saw, right, how a bondage, a bandh, right, has four characteristics. the Prakriti Bandh, the Pradesh Bandh, right, the duration and the fruition. Right. So not going into too much details, but the Prakriti and the Pradesh Bandh is due to the yoga or the vibratory activity, right, that happens in the soul. Right. If the yoga is feeble, right, then the inflow of atoms is less. And if yoga is intense, the inflow of atoms is more. Right. So it's basically directly proportional. Right. And again, right, in one samay, right, all the atoms of matter, right, that is turning into a karm, right, due to the instrumental cause of rag, right, gets divided into different types of bondage, right? So it could be Gyanvarniya karm and its main types and also its subtypes, right, as mentioned in the scripture. Right. Again, the most important point here is the yoke could be also of two types, right? Shubh or Ashubh. Understand that both in Shubh and Ashubh, right, the same amount of vibrational activity or the yoga is happening, and hence, right, both of these yoga, right, is still, right, the reason for bondage. Right. Again, right, even in the pair of like Hasya Shok, Rati Arati, and the three types of sex passions of Monia, right, karma, right, the karma still gets bonded, but only one out of these two pairs of each group gets bonded. Right. So the karma continuously bonds, right, even during the Sata and Asata Vedaniya karma, right, the karma still gets bonded, right, and even if it is auspicious, inauspicious, it will not matter, and Agati karms will also get bonded. Right. So the inflow of karmas, right, is caused by the instrumentality of yoga. Hence, yoga is also referred to as ashra or the influx of karma, right? And it decides the prakriti and the pradesh. However, right, the duration and the fruition, right, are determined by passions, right? So the more passions that you have, right, except there are some exceptions, that is ayu karma, right? The more passions that you will have, right, the more would be the more would be the intensity of your karma bondage, right? Except the ayu karma, right? Except ayu karma, it is the other way around, right? With more duration in the state of feeble passion, and with less duration in the state of intense passion. Right. After this, right, once we now know that the duration and fruition is caused by passions, right, and hence the type bondage and space bondage resulting from yogas are not strong. Only the duration and fruition, right, are strong. Therefore, passions are considered to be the prime cause of bondage and not yoga. Right, those who do not want, right, karmas to be bounded should not indulge in passions. Next, it talks about how when insentient matter particles or atoms gets transformed into different species of karms. So it again gives the same example, right? What Bahubali gave, right, is when we eat some food, right, it gets into whatever respiratory system, blood, flesh, right, and atoms of that particles gets digested, etc. Right. So how does that atom know, right, what path to take? Right. And some could be bonded for long duration, some could be for short duration. Right. So in a way, the same thing happens, right, for the karmas. Right. The karmas do not have a specific motivation or specific inclination to be a certain type. It is again a nimit-namitic sambandh, right, that determines, right, what kind of quantity, right, or of these pieces of karmas that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then it moves, right, to the state of existence of bonded karmas, right? So once the karmas are bonded, right, there is a certain phase, right, in which, right, it just remains static, nothing happens, right? However, right, due to the um, due to the bhav, right, of jeev dravya, right, it's quite possible, right, that their effect or the fruition, right, of it, right, gets decreased. Right. So many species of kerms which are bonded for long duration with intense fruition can become scant, right, by getting decreased, and many species bonded for lesser duration with potency of feeble fruition becomes more by getting increased. Right. So even, right, when they are not operative, right, their intensity can become less or more depending on the nimit of the Jeev bhavs.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and if nimit is absent, then there is no change. Right, they remain as they are. Right, now the next step, right, is the ripening or the operative state of bonded karmas.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so some karmas, right, all karmas, right, automatically, right, as per their intensity of bondage, would come into fruition, right, and the effect gets produced,
Mm-hmm.
right. The karmas do not produce the effects, right. At the time of ripening state, the specific effect disposition gets evolved, right, because of the cause and the effect relationship, right. So karm, the fruition or the operative state of the karm becomes a nimit, right, and the disposition of uh, jeev, right, becomes the naimatic, right, or the effect of it, right. After the fructification, right, that happens, right, the karmic form ends, right, and that is called as Saupak Nirjara, right? And
Subpart. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Saupak Nirjara, right? And this way, the karma shed off every moment, right, on rise of the same, right? So at the end of the karmic power, right, the matter particles then get separated and it becomes ineffective, right? Again, right, as I mentioned, there is a period of abhat kal, right, where
Adakal.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
it does not give any of its effect, right? So that is prior to the ripening,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there is uday. So that's the effective order.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it also mentions that there could be right karmas which are multiple karmas bonded in different duration. All can come into effect or fruition right at the same time, and vice versa. Right, all karmas which are bonded at the same time can come into fruition at different time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then it moves to the characteristics of Dravya Karma and Bhav Karma, which are again a Nimit and Naimitic sambandh. Dravya Karmas, right, are the actual atom particles which are converted into Karma due to the Bhav Karmas.
Mm-hmm.
Bhav are nothing but the disposition of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the Bhav Karmas, the disposition of soul, right, is also right dependent on Dravya Karmas. So both have a Nimit and Naimitic sambandh.
Mm-hmm.
Then it talks about no karma. So it terms the body as no karma because it's not completely instrumental to our cause of happiness and misery, similar to Dravya karma, but it is somewhat or less instrumental, and hence they are called as no karma. So the no does not denote some lesser measure. Right. Then it defines, right, the what the body is made up of: atoms, the sense organs, right, material, mind, respiration, and vocal organs are all considered as the part of the body. Right. Then, as Bahubali mentioned, right, the Jeev with Dravya Karma and body is found to be bonded, and the Jeev occupies the same space points, that is Ekakshetra Vagaha, right, as per what the body is, right, and um, till the Ayu Karm, right, and the death takes place, right, and the body comes to an end, then the body and soul gets separated, and in the very moment or the second, third, or the fourth moment or the samay, G will acquire a new body again due to the nimit of the rise of the karmas, right, and the relation continues to the end of that particular life karma. Right, and whatever body it occupies, right, the soul will also have the same space point of the new body. Okay, so it also says that the soul, right, possesses innumerable space point, right? That's where we say that, right, innumerable pradeshas as well, right, by the virtue of its quality of contraction and expansion. Right. Next, right, we are going to talk, right, about the different state of Jeev, right, starting with the Nitya Nigod. So there are two types of Nigod, right, the eternal Nigod, where, right, the let's say the first transmigratory cycle is of Nigod, right, right, followed by the completion of Ayu Karma, then again becoming Nigod. So then that is called as an eternal Nigod. Right. Then other Itara non-eternal Nigod is when, right, only, let's say, 600 Jeeves come out of the Nigod, the Nitya Nigod, in 6 months and 8 samays. They assume some different bodies. They continue the transmigration. It could be earth, water, fire, air, right, and any uh, any single plant life form of one sense being, right, or it can be a form of two sense being as well, right, and after that, right, if it again becomes nigod, right, in the next birth, then that is called as itara nigod, right, that is non-eternal. Right. Then it talks about the Stavar Jews and Thrust Jews, which Bahubali has already mentioned. It does give some information, I believe, right, from Arihant, that in Itar Nigod, right, it's always 2.5 Pudgal Paravartans. That's the amount of time, which is an infinite period. Right, so some Jews can get out of Ether Nigod and can get into Stavar immobile form, and it can come back to Nigod. Right, so that's also possible. Right, so then it talks about Antar Murat. So it says that one sense form, the maximum period, right, is the innumerable Pudgal Paravartan, and the minimum period is one Antar Murat. Okay, then this basically till now ends the diagnosis of karmic bondage, and now it talks about the states of jivas, right, caused due to the disease of karmic bondage. So it first explains the nature of the soul, which we have already explained, that is Chaitanya, right? It is formless. It is full of darshan, jnana, right? It possesses virya. Right. And then it explains, right, that owing to the Shayopsam, right, of the karmas, right, what different kind of manifestation happens. So it's very similar to what Bahubali mentioned, right? Mati Gyan, Shrut Gyan, those kind of knowledge gets manifested. That is the most commonly found manifestation. It rarely goes to Avadi Gyan, and in the darshan, the perception, right, we see more of a non-ocular perception, that is achukshu darshan, right, is found. Rarely we see ocular perception and Avadi. darshan, right? There is a clairvoyant perception. Right, then it talks about the dependent functioning of mati gyan, where the external objects, right, or the bodily organs, right, are is one of the dependent factor for mati gyan as well.
Mhm.
Then the same thing goes for Shruta Gyan. It explains that there are two kinds of it. One is the letter or the verbal one. Another is the letterless or non-verbal. Right, that is more prevalent, right, in most of the two senses to five senses. Right. However, right, human gati is the only one where the aksharatmak letter or the verbal gyan, right, is manifested. Then
Mhm.
it talks about, right, the clairvoyance, telepathy, and omniscience. Omniscience does not come into picture because we're talking about the sansar, right? So clairvoyance and the telepathy are the two ones, which is nothing but the avadhi gyan.
Mhm.
Right. So the first two, Shrut Gyan and Mati Gyan, there is a limitation where we can only see the extent of the area, right, which our organs, right, or the sensory organs allow us, right. Avadhi Gyan, we could bypass that, right, and we are not restricted by the limitation of the extent of the area. Right, it is manifested, right, in celestial and informal beings, that is Dev and uh, Hell, Naraki. It is rarely found, right, in animals and human beings,
Mhm.
and that too rational animals and human beings.
Mhm.
Right. Again, it tells the clairvoyance is of three kinds: Deshavadi, partial, excellent, which is Parmavadi, and Sarvavadi, which is full clearance, full clairvoyance. Right. So in partial, right, material objects are known with some clarity, and limitation of limited area and time, right, is found in some Jeev only, and in the other two, which is the excellent and the full, right, uh, knowledge gets completely manifested, right, in the other three. That is Manaparya Gyan,
Mhm.
Parmavidhi, and Sarvavidhi.
Mhm.
Okay. Then it talks about uh, knowledge and perception, right, as to how the uh, the manifestation of Gyan and Darshan, right, happens due to the Shayopsam of Gyan Varniya and Darshan Varniya. When the
Mhm.
Shayopsam is less, the power of Gyan and the Darshan is less. When it is more, then it is more as well. Right. Then it talks about upyog, right? It says that upyog, right, is at only one point, right? So for us, the mundane person, either the upyog is at the gyan or it is at the darshan. Even
Mhm.
if, right, there are multiples gyan, right, at one point of a time, we are only focused on one of them at a time.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Then it talks about Jeev's state, right, during the rise of Monia Karma. So Monia Karma, as we know, can be divided into Darshan and Charitra Mo. Right. So it explains, right, the Darshan Mo, right, when Mithyatva is there, right, how Jeev, right, due to its perverse belief and not understanding the real tattva, right, basically is the reason, right, why it exhibits the passions or the alien dispositions.
Mhm.
Right. And it also says why it does not, why it has oneness with other things. It does not understand, right, that the soul, right, the inwards, he is nothing but the self is the soul. right? And he continuously attaches himself, right, to either right other jeeves, right, or wealth or land or some pudgals.
Mhm.
Thus, owing to the rise of darshan monia, the disposition of perverse belief, right, in the form of non-substantial faith is caused in the jeev. If I want to summarize in one line,
Mhm.
right? And again, due to now we move to the rise of Charitra Mo. So in Charitra Mo, right, uh, we can desire of wishing ill for others,
Mhm.
right? And this desire is caused by the anger passion, right? But whatever we are wishing for others, right, the harm, right, depends on the destiny of that particular dravya,
Mhm.
right? Uh, owing to the pride passion. So we spoke about the anger passion, now the pride passion, right? We have the desire to establish our superiority among others, right? But again, achieving superiority depends on the destiny, on the deceit passion, right? We commit fraud to accomplish our goal, right? But it again depends on destiny whether we get the cherished goal, right? So and the greed vice versa, the desire of obtaining beneficial objects, right, is induced, but whether we get those beneficial objects depends on destiny, right? So these are the four passions, right, that happens due to the rise of charitra moh. Then it talks about how the passion's intensity is. The right passion intensity is of four kinds, right? Starting with the most intense one, which is Anantana Bandi, Apratyakyan Varn, Pratyakyan Varn, and Samjwalan.
Mhm.
Right. So this here there is an important point, right? That it is basically the samyaktva. It's basically the different state of samyukta. The passions arise of samyukta and swarupacharan charitra,
Sorry, Pacharan.
right? Self-absorption. So self-absorption is samyukta when those are to the extreme. So right belief is not there. Sorry, cannot be evolved. Then that is the highest anantana bandi. Right. And when there is a partial right conduct and partial abstinence, then we go to the next level, which is apratyakyan varan. Right. And when there is a complete conduct, right, sakal charitra, and complete abstinence, then we call that as pratyakyan varan.
Mhm.
Right. And right. And the one, right, where the perfect conduct, right, cannot be evolved, sorry, and the passions on the rise of which the transgression continue. Okay, the passions through rise of which, right, we still do transgression, right, that is take another gati, then that is called as samjwalan kashay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's the least form, right? If that is still present, right, we still are not liberated. We still continue the rise of we still continue the
Okay, so you're saying
transgression, right?
until
The
that
birth
is
and the death.
destroyed, there is no moksha. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, so that's the least one. Once that is destroyed, we will get moksha.
Okay.
Right. Then it talks about Krishna Lesha, right? Shukla Lesha, right? As Bahubali ji also mentioned, right? Which is nothing but we consider that as coloration of the soul, right? If the passion is high, then we call it as Krishna Lesha, right? And when it is the feeble, then we call it as Shukla Lesha. There are intermediate ones as well, but right now we're just talking about the two extreme ones.
Mhm.
Right now we move to the Jews condition due to the rise of Antaraya Karm, right, which is the one that obstructs, right, the spiritual power. Right. So, all right, if someone wishes to give donation, he cannot give. Right. Someone wishes to, right, to obtain a thing, then that cannot happen. Wish to enjoy something, that cannot happen.
Mhm.
Right. So this is what happens due to the rise of antaraya karma, that is the obstructive karma.
Mhm.
Right. Now for the agati karma, right, the first one is vednya karma. Right. So vednya karma is where the happiness and the unhappiness, there is a cost of external happiness and unhappiness. Right. This is the most prevalent that we see. Right. Whether we are healthy, hungry, thirst, desires, right, poverty, right, favorable wife, son, child, right, all those things comes into picture.
Mhm.
Right. Again, we have to understand this is again an instrumental cause, right? And the real disposition of our or vows of ours, right, are the actual reason.
Mhm.
Right. Then it talks about the Ayu Karma, Jiv's condition, the Ayu Karma, which you already explained, right? Once the Ayu ends, right, that's when we call it as dead, right? And then the new birth comes, right? It has its own rise of Ayu Karma that determines, right, how long, right, this new embodied form and the Jiv Dravya would be together, right? And once that Ayu Karma ends, then the next birth starts, right? The entire cycle starts again. The Nam Karma is the physic making karma. This basically determines, right, whether we get a human body, right, or different other thrusts, that is a mobile beings, thavar, etc.
Mhm.
Right, so that is determined by the Nam Karma. Right, and again it determines everything, our speech, right, our whatever, our respiration system, etc., everything comes under that. And the last one is the gotra karma, right, which basically gives us whether we will born in the high or the low status, right, from a caste system perspective. Right. So this basically concludes, right, the mundane state of existence of Jeeves, starting
Mhm.
with the diagnosis, right, then the cause, right,
Mhm.
and then, right, what we should be doing, right, to liberate ourselves, right, or end this particular bondage. Right, and also it explained different types of karma and what happens when there is a rise of a particular karma on Jeev's condition.
Mhm.
Yeah, that concludes.
Very good. Okay, so you both did it in so much detail that there was no time left. Well, actually, Bahubali, she's not done actually. Right?
Yeah, I
And
think we selected a very broad
no, you did,
topic.
and that's okay. I mean, now you're done preparing for the exam in that sense, and hopefully the listeners too, if they paid attention, at least got the
We,
gist of
we were paying attention, and I think it was brilliant. And
it.
that's how I would say it. But the
So
problem I had is like for first 30 minutes, I was able to understand it, but then I just lost.
you lost it. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you can
No,
ask
I should have
questions.
been
It was too long.
I
I
should
think
have
if
been
we
more
had done it like
conscious.
in two parts, it would have been very, very useful because he has a deep study,
I
deep
because see
understanding
the
of it.
thing is that those chapters, well, of course, first chapter he only briefly touched upon, but the second chapter has a lot into it. So it has the details of karmas, then it has all the four types, then each types, the Gyanavani, all those karmas, it gets into little more details about it. But whatever you heard is going to be useful. Now you know the content of those
Exactly.
chapters.
What I'm going to do is from my exam prep, I'm just going to go back to this video and listen to
Right. At least, yes, yes.
it again.
And then again, I mean, it's always open book, right? So
Oh,
you
yeah.
should know what is where, and then you can always refer. Okay.
That's right. But I think both Bahubali and Amit had a sort of effortless understanding. That's
Mm,
how it came across.
right.
And fortunately, because being too long, I kind of couldn't concentrate for very long till the
So
end. So, uh, good
I
thing
I
is we
know
did the
nowadays
Bahubali
we cannot
presentation in
even
two.
hear
So
even half an hour if all our concentrations are getting
I
skewed
think I
because
think
of
I
that.
think it's good. It
Yeah,
was challenging both for what Bahubali did and what Amit did.
right.
I mean, it's very challenging, but
if he could split it into two, it would be much more sort of useful. I think.
Well,
And plus,
actually,
Add to
did
this
you take longer than Bahubali? I don't know.
yeah, I
Oh,
took
about
It's
equal because it's
About equal,
almost,
I think. Both
yeah,
take
it's
45
almost
minutes.
9:45. So,
No,
yeah.
he spoke for
Bahubali
almost 50
quite a
minutes.
bit.
No, I
so
took 30 minutes. Mine is 34 minutes,
Yeah,
including questions and
no,
everything.
I took
The
50,
stopwatch.
50 plus minutes, I think so.
It's
50
okay.
plus.
But
I think at
again,
the end,
the
I
second,
rambled a
compared
lot.
to Jeev Adhikar, Jeev in the Dravya Sangra, this one is little more kind of
Yeah,
what you call engaging topic. It's at least
yeah,
Oh, it
because
is.
it go through the process of karmas and binding and
right.
different types of bindings and overall.
Easier to keep the focus, but still there was a lot more, so
Yeah.
it's
Thank you for doing it. It makes it easy for us.
Yeah.
right.
Very, very well done.
So I
Compare that,
enjoyed preparing for
compare
it
that to
because
my summary of 6 slides on chapter 1 of Moksha Prakash.
Well, now you know what to do, okay? I'm fine. I mean, if you just do 15 minutes, that's okay too. But don't do it like 5 minutes because that'll be too small.
No, it's praiseworthy that they actually took it upon themselves to summarize it.
Right.
It's
They
very,
took the
very
broader topics, which is very good. So, okay, so now your 3 questions.
sure.
Okay. So, should one be scared of karmas or not scared of karmas?
No, because karmas, whatever you have bonded, right, in your previous gati, right, would fructify, right? So there's nothing much that you can do about that process. But let's understand, right, that the bhav, right, our dispositions, right, is the one that leads to ashram, right, and bondage. Right, so till the time our purusharth, right, should be on those dispositions,
Mhm.
and then we should not be too much worried about karmas.
Okay. Okay. So basically, there's 2 ways to look at it. So karmas is what is holding you down.
Hmm.
Remember, we read that if there's no karmas, in the Dravya Sangra we read that the soul naturally has to go up, kind
Correct.
of like helium balloon. You leave it and it's going to go up. That's the natural thing that happens with soul, which means it's the karmas that are holding us down. Otherwise, we would be in moksha today. So, with that perspective, yes, you should be concerned. How do I get rid of these? Right? Number 2, what would motivate you to have the Nirmal Parinam, to have a very less or less intense bondage? What will help is when you contemplate on the consequences you get by binding each of these karmas. So, what happens when the Jnanavarniya karma is in fruition? I'm not able to understand things. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So, if somebody showed you, let's say, which hopefully now with AI and everything, somebody's gonna probably come up with this kind of a thing where, you, what bhav you do, what kind of karmic bondage it happens, and then when it comes to fruition, what circumstances you get. If
Correct.
that
That
is pictured constantly, it will keep your kashai way.
yeah. Yeah, the latter part it is trying to explain, right? Saying that when there's a rise of what kind of karma, what happens to the jiv. But you're right, the former part, right,
Yeah,
what kind of bhav that we have causes what kind of karma and the 4 types, right? That is the intensity, the pradesh, the type, etc. Then both the things linked
that's the
together.
only thing that is in our control. What's done is done. Whatever is going to come into fruition will come into fruition, whether you like it or not. Too bad, right? Now that is done, but how you react to it, what your state is in those times, is what is determining your future.
Hmm.
And you cannot really force yourself to calm down in reality. Maybe for a few seconds you can,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and that's where that is not even advised, right? That is turning inwards, right, and understanding that I am the soul, and right, or realizing the true nature of the soul is what is advised, right? And
Exactly.
I've never seen the
Because
advice.
let's say you have temporarily you're scared or whatever. They give this example. Let's say two brothers are fighting, even if they're 10 years old, right? And some guest comes. Now they know that the parents are not going to like it if we fight in front of the guest. So suddenly they're calmed down and okay, respectable to the guest, whatever, whatever. And then what happens?
Yeah,
As
when
soon
they
as
go, they
guests,
start.
they just
Same
start.
thing will happen with us. Our
Yes.
anger, our greed, everything, we can temporarily suspend it, right? But
Right.
never for permanent.
Right. So the permanent cure is to understand the tattva, to have the firm conviction that this is me and all this Pudgal ka khel, I have nothing to do with it.
Mm. So I believe the further chapters would talk about this, right? This is like setting up what is the sansar, right? And then the further chapters
Yeah. The
will
next
talk about.
third chapter, actually, we are going to do 3 and 4 chapter in the next semester. We will do that.
Oh, okay.
So
And
that
also
will
we learned about this one, right? Heya, Deya, Upadeya, those
right.
kind of things. Yeah, like
Correct.
Right. So, and
Where
Dravya Sangra, again, these were all related topics, the 3 books that we did this time. Okay.
Mhm.
So Dravya Sangra taught you about, again, same thing, that what Dravya you are, how the karmas or anything else has the nimitic sambandh, but they're still very much separate than you, the Pudgal, which you have nothing to do with. It cannot, okay. So one example, actually, Vipinji's when he's recently visiting, and one of the examples he gives is, so karma. Yes, karma. What you just said, Amitji, is like it will decide fruit. It will decide how long. All those things, correct. But it's like, so I guess let me put that as the next question. Can you blame karmas for what you're going through?
No, because again, that's something that me as a Jeev Dravya, right, in the past, right, has attracted those karmas, right? So who do I blame, right? I am the one, even in the previous Gati, right? That is right. On that perspective, right, blaming is right. When we say the word blame is
Blaming, or
because
even do you think कर्म हमको ये करा रहे हैं, कर्म मुझे गुस्सा दिला रहा है, कर्म ने मुझे अभी इतनी काइंड ऑफ
again, karma.
hot irritated situation अभी है, चल रही है और मेरे कर्म का उदय ऐसा है. A lot of people will say
Yeah.
that.
No, what I feel karma gives you the conditions, etc. So it kind of decides your envelope. That's why my understanding of Krambat Priya is not that great, but I still believe that right, it gives you an envelope. In that envelope, you still have option A, B, C, D. And your Purusharth will determine whether option A, let's say, is the best, and option D, which is the worst, right, is determined by your Purusharth. It is not a very static thing, right, as one observes, right? If they do not, and I don't have much understanding of Karambat Pariyai, but initially I thought it's a very static thing. We still have the freedom because of Purusharth, right?
That
That
freedom
within
is
those,
also known. That's all Krambad Pariyai means. You have the freedom, whatever you're going to react, whatever you're going to, everything Kevali can see your
yeah,
future.
that
That's all it
sequence is
means.
determined, but
Krambad
that
is not something to be bothered with in that sense.
correct. It's about
Now,
somebody knowing what are the steps and writing
that's all.
in a
That's all.
cheat and not letting us see that, right? That's
That's
what
it.
Karambad
You
is.
don't know. So you're going to, do
You
whatever
still
is
want to do.
right for you. Exactly. So I was trying to give you that example. So let's say you were speeding and
Mm-hmm.
police gave you a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So is the police a bad guy?
No.
No.
No,
What
because
is the
I mean,
cause of ticket?
yeah, the cost of ticket is in me, right? Whatever, right? The reason I'm
Police has no
speeding, right?
intention.
It's
All he's doing is his duty. That if
and
you
again,
speed,
the
he has to give you ticket.
police would be in that position is also impacted by karma. The conditions of police being present, right, and fining me was also determined by karma. That's how I
Right.
differentiate
But
two
what I'm
steps
saying
where
is,
I'm
using
speeding.
logic, oh my God, that police guy came and gave me. We don't look at that I was speeding. And that's why, uh, you know, I'm, what's happening to me. See, immediately the fact that, you have to think that karma is my own doing, and it's me that is at fault or for good karma, either way.
Correct.
So karma has no responsibility in that sense. Like just like the police officer or the camera that catches you and sends the ticket home, whichever way it is.
Correct. Yeah,
So
those are just the nimitta, right?
exactly. So to get that sense, which we keep forgetting when the adverse situations come.
But if you want to compare two states where I'm speeding, right? But I was whatever you say, lucky that there was no police officer, right? And I did not get the ticket. And in another scenario, I was speeding, but there was a policeman who gave me a ticket, right? Or a camera which gave me a ticket. In these two comparisons, should I say that my previous karma would have come into fruition? That's where there was a policeman and a camera, right? That led to the option two. And in the first one, it did not happen, right? Possibly again, right? There was no karma that got
So
fruition.
let's analyze this. Okay. So you get a ticket. What happens? You have to pay some money, right? That's the worst that can happen, unless
Correct.
you've committed some bigger crime. So some loss of money, let's say. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what is loss of money? Which
Yeah,
karma
again.
is that?
Antaraya.
Labhantra.
Lavandra, yeah.
Labh is, right? So you
Correct.
lost some you lost some money in whatever, right?
Yeah, but in
So
larger context, that also does not matter, right? Because that's not
it
mine
doesn't,
at
because
all.
really you are sold regardless of what happens to you, how much money you lose, how much money you gain, doesn't really matter. But
But,
that
but,
comes later. Right now, let's analyze.
but
So
the
your
awareness,
Labhantra
correct?
had to be in fruition. Your the mistake you made had to happen at that moment. Krambada comes into play, right? Now, so that ticket getting was an activity that happened because of your past karmas. Now, how do you take it? There's multiple reaction. Oh, that police guy had to stand right here when I was driving,
Or we
whatever.
say, oh, bad luck, right? If I had come
Or
five
I
minutes
didn't
later, he
mean
would not be
to, and
there.
he just caught me. I was fine till now. और अभी 2 मिनट के लिए वो slope आ गई थी और वो उसने मुझे पकड़
Correct.
लिया.
Yeah, that's a normal. Yeah, that's a normal thing that we will think.
Right? Yeah. So now once you have this knowledge, so okay, so maybe for a moment you would react differently, but eventually you'll contemplate and say that no, nothing wrong happened here. Right? So it will be easier for you to accept that for whatever reason, whether if it was because of the slope, whatever the reason, I was speeding. The fault is in me, not the camera or not the police. So you'll be much faster to accept the responsibility. Versus somebody who does not have this knowledge will go to the nth level to blame the police guy or to blame the circumstances कि वो कार तो वो हो रहा था और ये हो रहा था, or the wife who was talking and distracting him due to which his speed went high. So many things happen, right?
So depending on that, if we exhibit Anantanu Bandi Kashai, right, then we are bonding more future karmas.
Right. Now, let's say now you have this knowledge, right? That this karma has nothing to do with it. It's my own doing. Okay, fine, done. I've bared the fruit of it, accept it. It was my mistake that these karmas came into fruition and this happened.
Or some kind of passion, like I was greedy, right? Maybe I had to reach somewhere on time that could give me some benefits or something. All right, so
Exactly,
my
whatever the
greed is
case.
what led to this.
Bottom line, the acceptance that the cause of this, whatever act happened, is me speeding. Accepting that speeding was a mistake. Whether I was trying to reach somewhere, whether I was trying to pick up my child and getting late, does not matter. Accepting that I made a mistake, which caused me to get this circumstance of getting a ticket. Versus making excuses, blaming each and whatever else you can point at. A lot of people do that. Oh, the kids were screaming in the back, so I couldn't
No,
pay attention.
everyone. I would say not a lot, everyone.
Oh, right.
Everyone will do that.
Yeah.
And also it is being said And also it's been said that, I mean, knowing this knowledge that, okay, this in absolute viewpoint, there is nothing happen. See, this we are, see, like we are not really enlightened. We are not samyak drishti. So I think we should be always still in the Vyavarnaya. Otherwise, and Moksha Marga we learn, I think, Ekantavada, something like that, correct? We tend to like negate, like, okay, I am pure, but that faith is not there yet completely. So yes, we
You
need
are
to,
pure intrinsically.
yeah.
Right now, your paryaya is not pure. You are
Yeah.
living in the paryaya mode,
Yeah, because
right?
in
So
Paryaya and
yes,
yeah,
must accept both. If you accept
yeah,
only one, like you said, it's ekantavad.
yeah,
You have to accept
Correct.
both. In paryaya, I
yeah,
am not
Like
pure
yes,
and I have to work on it.
yes, yeah,
Yet, I am that soul
yeah,
which intrinsically is
yeah.
pure.
correct.
And they say like whoever only Samyak Drishti can understand Vyavarnaya.
Mhm. Yeah, because then the people who don't understand it kind of haphazardly
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
it,
So
they will say, oh, I am pure, so why to bother?
yeah,
It's okay.
exactly. So
Like I won't have
even if I kill somebody, so I am pure.
Yeah.
I'm not kill. I did not kill. So it is so it's so dangerous. It is. I mean, that means
That's
it's
why
pure
they
because
say that all these principles, philosophies is like walking on a sword.
yeah,
Idhar gaye to bhi gadbad, idhar gaye to bhi gadbad.
yeah,
So, and that is why it's very important to learn the Nay, learn the which Apeksha the Grantha is saying what, and to get yourself into the total picture.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think Moksha Marg Prakash
And
says,
then it's
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's a lot of happy feeling. It's a lot of content feeling
Hmm.
yeah.
that yes, I know now the way things are. And it's naturally I'm making better decisions.
I think if you show patience and continuous study, Jinavani has everything, every aspect of it, correct? I mean,
Of course, yes, yes, yes.
Correct.
So Janvani basically even they call it Mata because it teaches you how
yeah,
to think, how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, everything.
Hmm. And it goes beyond the current life, right? It looks at the liberation angle. I think every other thing that you see, right, would teach you community living or moral science kind of a thing, right? How
Right,
you should behave in the society.
right.
But this goes, right, even many levels up, right? And it explains. So,
And you
Prabhaji,
know,
when does Labdhi come into picture? I've heard Labdhi many a times in Samaisar and
Labdhi
all those
simply
stuff.
means ability.
So, what's the
So,
difference between Labdhi and Purusharth?
oh, Purusharth is the effort you put into whatever it is that
Hmm.
you're trying to get at, right? Now, Labdhi means you have that ability. So, Labdha Roop se the soul has the ability to reach moksha. Right now, it's not present.
So Labdhi, to everybody
I
has it.
think
Everybody is
one
into the
Everybody
same
has some
nature.
Labdhi, of course. Now, Labdhi word, see, in any Shastra or in lot of ways, same word can be used differently.
yeah,
Labdhi, when it is used for Acharya or sadhus, they get special abilities like extra abilities, uh, opposite of subhuman, whatever that the word would be.
Hmm.
That normally humans cannot do it, but sadhus can do it. Like, they get the flying labdhi, let's say somebody get it, or they get manaparyay gyan. So these are all special abilities.
So how does ability come? Is there a karmic bondage relation to it as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would somebody have one Jeev Dravya have more Labdhi and one have less?
See,
that is
your
the
soul has infinite labdhis,
yeah.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm not saying in the intrinsic form, right? I'm saying in the Sansar Jeev, why would somebody have more Labdhi and less Labdhi? Is karma the only
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
behind it?
Yes, as you are shedding your karmas, any related karmas that have shed, they will produce some special abilities. Now, because sadhus are not to be worried about these. Their goal is not to get labdhi or use them. Their goal is to reach moksha.
Hmm.
So they don't bother with it. It's like, you go to a millionaire and he says, okay, ask whatever you want. मेरे को एक pen दे दो. Does that make any sense? No. You went to a millionaire, you could have asked $1 million. You didn't.
Hmm.
So when their goal is to reach moksha, they don't
Yeah,
care
why
about
would they?
little labdis coming to
So
fruition.
Labdis, this is the okay. You are like in a running race. Somebody is ahead, right, of someone, right? Is that Labdi factor, right? That somebody is ahead of you.
It's
Finally,
really
both's destination is
no, 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 no. Labdi has nothing to do with you are ahead in the moksha marg. No.
no. With that ability,
You
you
can
you
reach
would be
moksha
ahead.
sooner even if you didn't come across these labdis.
Oh, okay.
So, no, so labdi doesn't mean you are a higher quality of sadhu. No, no.
But there are
Some
different
may
types.
get it, others may not. That has nothing to do with how faster they go to moksha.
See, the labdis are also, as Prabhaji, you mentioned, the labdis are so many labdis. There
Yeah,
one is the labdis in the vitality, like
yeah.
that one, and there is in the spiritual progress also there are Kshorapsham labdi, Vishuddha labdi, Deshna labdi,
And now
Karan
that
labdi.
labdi is different.
Yeah,
Again,
that
that's
labdis.
again
That is,
ability. Like Chaupsham labdis that you have the ability to understand.
yeah,
You have the low enough kashai that you have an interest in religion.
yeah.
So that's
That
also
is
ability. Labdi word means only ability.
okay.
Now, where it is used is it depends. Okay.
And then there is a labdi and paryapti. That's also there. Okay, that's
Yeah.
combination of those.
Mhm. So anyway, so that is that. Now, how would you use this? My other question is, how would you use this karma knowledge that you got? I mean, now you understand all this mechanism, right?
Yeah, the
That
first step is everything happens because of me and my bhav.
right.
Right. So my bhav, right, is where I should work on, right, because that will determine the future karma and that will give me the conditions, right, in my future life.
Mhm.
Right. So that is the main thing that I understand. Right. And plus the I mean when I started reading about this, I had that notion as well that a karma is the doer. Now I understand the beautiful relationship of the nimit and naimitic. So that is the important thing. It's not
So
about in
that's
karma.
the other big point you understand out of this is that karma is never the doer. So that's nothing I have to be scared of.
Correct.
So let's say very bad karmas are in fruition. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong.
Right.
I can still be happy being who
Yes.
I am.
With the knowledge of nimit naimitic, right, and the fact that nobody else is the doer, right, I think that
Who are
that
we?
would
Nothing. Look at all these Ram, Sita, all these major, famous characters. What was their life like?
correct.
Full of miseries.
Yep.
Panch
14 years of
Pandav. Are bhai, they're such big personalities. Arjun had to live in the female form, hiding from
Hmm,
who? Because of his cousins won't even let him have a little village to live in.
correct. And
Are
that was
these
his karma.
favorable? Obviously, we don't have that much unfavorable circumstances,
Mhm,
but these people
correct.
still attained moksha.
Yeah.
अब
So
अपनी जन्म
in
में मोक्ष
samsara,
होने वाला है. And look at their circumstances.
when unfavorable circumstances happens, now, right, this definitely gives a guiding light, right, that this is based on my previous karmas, right, and not because of third party. Because I think the first reaction when you are not aware of Jainism, right, is to possibly blame the
Mhm.
other factor, right? If I had not done this, if this has not happened, somebody had not done this, I would
Mhm.
not be in this position.
Right, exactly. So, and then the point is that even the people who were going to moksha in the same birth, even they had so many adverse situations. So, who am I?
Mm,
Right?
correct.
And the other answer, if you know who am I, then you're always happy
Mm,
because you are not the Pudgal. So, why bother? All
well,
this is Pudgal ka khel.
correct.
So, okay, very good. So now the remaining people, I'm sure you guys will be ready. Were you ready actually, Viraj and Arunji?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I
great.
have prepared 13 slides on chapter 1 for Moksha Prakash. So I
Very
can
good.
present it wherever time is right.
Yeah. and we'll take Bahubali Ji's Ajeev also.
Sure.
Hopefully, we'll finish all that next Wednesday. Do we have another Wednesday before the 4th of July weekend, or we don't?
No, no. No, 24th is the next one, and then 1st of July.
Which we are not doing. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So we'll
I
finish
think
hopefully
we should be
before
able to finish, I believe, next Wednesday.
let's try to kind of shoot for that.
Yeah, mine is it takes 10 minutes or less.
Okay, wonderful.
Ajeev Adhikar is very small.
And then
You
so
should
then
take
we
more
have a
time.
break, so you guys can prepare for exams and finish LCPA, whatever you need to.
Yeah.
If you need, has everybody read the LCPA questions?
Yeah, I went through it once. Well, it
Okay,
was
good. Just read, and if you have any questions, bring them to class, because anyway you
Yeah.
have to answer them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then that way you'll have that full 2 weeks to prepare for exam and finish any summaries, assignments, whatever you haven't finished, and upload them and everything. But then once exam starts, during that time, I think Wednesdays will still start with the third chapter of Moksha Marg Prakashak. I don't think it's going to get you mixed up or anything. What do you guys say? That's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So you'll get that 2 week break. So full solid break to catch up on everything, study for exam, and then सहजानंदी शुद्ध स्वरूपी अविनाशी हूँ आत्म स्वरूप सहजानंदी शुद्ध स्वरूपी अविनाशी हूँ आत्म स्वरूप सहजानंदी शुद्ध स्वरूपी अविनाशी हूँ आत्म स्वरूप निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है वंदना शत बार है जय जिनेन्द्र।